Hey, what's happening, everybody? It's me, Robert Phoenix, and I hope you can hear me loud and clear. I am rocking with my lavalier mic tonight, and hopefully get a good signal coming through here. Wow, what a weekend it has been! It's been a great weekend. Went up to the great town. I'm gonna use great a lot tonight. The great town of McKinney, Texas, where the one and only Liddy Lou put us up, and we had a little meet and greet there on Friday night. It was like super cool. She put out a really big spread, a lot of Tex-Mex stuff. There were about 20 people there, and got to talk some astrology and kind of what would I say? It was like, yeah, it was a really interesting moment. It was like it was me and about 20 people. Most of them I didn't know. There were some people there that I did know, and it was kind of like I was kind of holding court in some ways. It was really interesting, So for all of you projectors out there who are interested in your strategy and your strategy being waiting for the invitation, sometimes you have to wait for the right invitations, and they don't always come in all at once. But when they do, and they're the right invitation, and you step into it, the projector juice can start rolling, can start flowing. So anyway, I just want to say thanks to Janet, aka Liddy Lou, and her family for putting us up and showing us the delightful town of McKinney. I really enjoyed McKinney. I mean, McKinney was straight out of, I don't know, middle America. It was really very American, very American. And if you don't know where McKinney is, it's kind of near Dallas, Texas. So it's in the northern part of Texas. And yeah, it was a cool time. And I did some readings up there. And again, just met some really super cool people. So tonight, as I gather my thoughts and put together what's happening astrologically, holy shit, man. When was the last time we did the weather? Was it Thursday? I think it was Thursday. And I just looked at what was going on, and I said, this is going to be a big fucking day. This is going to be a day that is memorable and goes down in history. Little did I know. I mean, I could see it. I knew something big was coming, but I had no idea that it was Donald Trump and Elon Musk big. Man, that was, and still is. A lot of people say, oh, it's just, they're just playing out a script, and this is just, if you look at the astrology, it's not just a script. It's not just theater. And I did a little pop-up show on Thursday night, and I tried to demonstrate that on Thursday night. I'm going to do it again tonight for those of you that didn't see the show, and I'll give you my take on it again. So hang in there. I just I have to do a couple things here on this end, get some of these charts together, at least one together. I hope everybody's having a nice end to your weekend wherever you are. For some of you in another part of the world, you've already ended it. You're already well on your way to your Monday. And if you are in the workforce, it is the first day of your week, right? So there you go. And I hope it's good. So we're going to talk a little bit about the chart of the moment. And I'm also going to break down this Saturday. And this Saturday is supposed to be No King's Day. Well, ironically, it is also, guess what? Flag Day. And Donald Trump wants to have some kind of like military parade, like some kind of, I don't know, Soviet style Kremlin Red Square kind of thing. I mean, I really think that that's what he wants to do. Now, maybe whenever I saw that as a kid, I'm like, I've talked about this before. I'm like, do they really have all those things? Do they really have those gigantic fucking rockets and missiles? Or are they just, is this like a deep fake? I actually had those thoughts as a kid. Like, what is going on there? Can this be real? Who knows if those rockets or missiles actually really fly? I mean, it's like, what the fuck? We don't really know, right? And then, as I got a little more, I would say, psychologically sophisticated, I said to myself, oh, I know what they're doing. They're showing off all of their giant rockets and missiles like giant penises going down Red Square. That's what this is. The Russians are saying our dicks are bigger than yours. So I don't know. Maybe is this weekend going to be the weekend where Trump gets to roll out his version of it? We shall see. So we are also on the cusp of a major change with one of our planets. You know what that planet is? It is Jupiter. We'll bring that into the discussion as well. And it gets a baptism. Oh boy, does Jupiter get a baptism on Saturday when we have Flag Day and No King's Day clashing simultaneously over I guess it was starting on the Thursday or Friday night. These riots started to erupt in Los Angeles, and this is all around immigration. I think Trump sent ICE in to look. I don't know who he's pulling out of LA. Okay, I don't know who he's pulling out of LA. Here's my feeling about it. Right, if somebody is a criminal, it has connection to some criminal activity, has a criminal record in this country, and it's recent, and they are not a citizen, then they need to go. They need to go. If they are somebody who's making T-shirts for American Apparel somewhere in Los Angeles, and they're not documented, and they're probably a woman somewhere over the age of 40, I'm not sure I want to send them back. I'm not sure I want to send them back. So I think that there is a standard, I'd say a standard for who gets sent back. At least that's what I would like, because I am opposed to the unmitigated migration that happened under the Biden era. And this unmitigated migration has been happening for a while now. It's not like it just started overnight, right? But when Trump was president from 2016 to 2020, he had done some things that were basically telling people, hey, look, it's probably in your best interest not to come to the US because there's a really good chance you'll be kicked out or turned around. And the state of Mexico was actually fairly helpful in that regard. Well, they, of course, changed their tune once Trump left the office and Biden and Mayorkas. Where is Mayorkas, by the way? Anybody seen Mayorkas? Mayorkas just disappeared into thin air. Like everybody else from the Biden, they just all disappeared. They just all vanished. They're gone. Merrick Garland, where is he? Where's Merrick Garland? Where's the other guy that was always, what was his name? Anthony. You see, if you don't say these people's names all the time in your brain, and you don't see them anymore, there's no use for them. Basically, most of Biden's staff just went into the ethers. Twilight Zone. Well, like, what the fuck happened with these people? All right, let's look at the staff. Let's see. The Biden cabinet and staff. Blinken. That's what I'm thinking of. Blinken. You blink and he's gone. Lloyd Austin. Where the fuck is he? Jennifer Granholm. You remember her? She's a little lightweight, a little bit light. Xavier Becerra, Department of Health and Human Services. The one and only Alejandro Mayorkas. Where did these people go? Merrick Garland, where did he go? Tony Blinken, where did he go? Buttigieg opens his mouth every now and then. Janet Yellen, where did she go? They're all gone. Vanished. Avril Haines, where are you? John Kerry. John Kerry was fucking everywhere. Where is he now? Ron Klain. We know Ron Klain. He bailed. He bailed. So getting back to this whole migration thing, man, it's going to be a heavy duty weekend as it relates to all of that and more. But they just started like drumming it up in LA, and in 2020, and it was not quite at the same time, but pretty damn close. Right on May 24th, 2020, George Floyd had his little incident in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Okay. Happens in the month of Gemini. We know that. And fast forward here, we're in the month of Gemini again. And if we go back to Friday night, which seemed like that's when all this stuff was really kicking off. It was 6/6. That was the date on Friday night. 6/6. And that's to me, or Friday day, like this is when all this stuff down in LA really started to happen. And so one of the things that they were doing is they were also starting fires in Los Angeles while these protests are going. Not just any fires, like brush fires. This is heavy duty. I'll show you tonight's chart. This is heavy duty Mars Leo energy moving into this square with Uranus. Holy fucking shit. Right? The astrological sky is about to get lit up. Absolutely lit up. Okay, before we get into the gory details with everything, there's a couple things that I do want to talk about before we get going. One of the things I want to talk about is the event I'm doing in October. It is called The Bridge Expo, and it is with my buddy, my guy, David, the Leo King Palmer, and a bunch of other people. If you're into, like, how would I describe it? Sort of like exo metaphysics. Like there's some really out there stuff, right? Like really out there, like, like crystal skull stuff. There's some UAP stuff. It's a very eclectic kind of assemblage of very outside thinking and perspectives. And let me see if I can bring it up here, just to show you the lineup here, so you guys know what I'm talking about. So I have the link in the description of the show. And if you sign up now through that link, you can get, I think it's like, half off the ticket. It's a pretty good deal, if you ask me. So let me see if I can bring up the lineup here. And I wish I would have gone to the hotel because I was actually up there and I was not able to make it over there on time. Let me see. The Bridal Expo. No, it's not the Bridal Expo. I don't want the Bridal Expo. Hold on. The Bridge Expo. Let me see if I can find this thing. Give me 1 second. I think it's on my computer here. Hold on. They're actually competing with some other metadata. Let's put it that way. The Bridge Expo. Let's go with Dallas. Maybe it says Dallas. Here we go. That's it. There you go. There it is, right there. It's at the Hilton Anatole. The Hilton Anatole. That's where the Bridge Expo is going to be happening. And let's see. The Bridge Expo. Yes. David's got his link up there on X. Fan Expo Dallas. That's not it. Bridge Expo. You need to have your event a little more front and center on the search results. I have to say, work a little bit on that. Work a little bit on that. Those meta tags. Let me just see this. Hold on. Okay. All right. So it's being put together by a group called Team Light, if I'm not mistaken. Team Light. Yes, please use my link in the if you do want to sign up, use my link, which is part of the description of the show, because it shows where people are coming from. And I'm going to be perfectly honest. If you sign up through my link, you will help me in terms of ultimately getting paid. So yes, please sign up through my link. You can sign up for David's link if you want to. That's fine. You know, it's not a popularity contest. But if you're here and you're watching this show and you're interested, just use my link. If you're on David's show watching him, use his link. I think that's fair. I think it's more than fair. Let me see. I'm just trying to find. Like they are not doing a great job here. Let me see if I can do this in terms of surfacing their event. Come on, Team Light. Maybe we do use a different browser here. All right, hold on. Yeah, no, that's not it. That is not it. Let's go back. Let's go back here. Let's go back here. Let's see. I'm just gonna pull this up right here. I'm actually going to David's. I'm going to David's Twitter page. If I'm going to David's Twitter page, I may as well just go to my Twitter page. Let me go to my Twitter page. Hold on. And much love to David. Here we go. This is the event right here. It's right here. We found it. Fucking A. Thank God. All right. Let me show you guys the link here. It's right there. Right there. Share screen, the Bridge Expo. Do we get to see it? Do we get to see it? Is it there? No, I have to shit can the first image I share, and I have to do it all over again because StreamYard has its own little quirks. And here we go. After all of that effort, there it is. The Bridge Expo activating the bridge to higher dimensions. You see, I did all of this so that you guys could see who's going to be there and presenting. Right? So here we go. We got David Palmer, the Leo King, Masati, Bill Homan, and the Mitchell Hedges Crystal Skull. Me, yours truly, Robert Phoenix, Dr. Sandra Moon, Shauna Eva, John Charles Moyen, Sheila Nice, Ryan the Ruin, and Tone Millard. Okay, look, you get to hang out. This is the roof. If you get a room there, you get to hang out on the rooftop. Show off your yoga body or your bowling body, whichever. We don't care. That looks pretty chill, doesn't it? Imagine yourself hanging out there with other attendees. Right? Let's say you're hanging out there with these other attendees. Oh, yeah. This place is totally chill. Totally chill. What else we have here? Got some fireworks, and there's a bridge to higher dimensions. So again, the link is where am I? There I am. I'm on the second row right there. So here's all the nice people that are going to be there. Ryan DeRuin, Reverend Dr. Sandra Moon, David Palmer, Masati. So you got some ufology, spiritual leader, soul mentor, galactic emissary. Wow. Look at that. Maybe we'll see maybe a UFO will land. Maybe that'll be the highlight of the event. All of a sudden we'll have fucking close encounters of the third kind. Wouldn't you want to be there for that? I'd want to be there for that. What's up with that shine in my head? Is that this? I think it's a little bit of that. Maybe it's a spirit entity that wants. It is. It's a spirit entity that wants to come through. Oh, there it is. Okay. So yeah, the link for that is part of the description of the show. Okay. I want to just thank everybody for being here tonight. So I'm not going to go through and greet you all, but I know you're there, and God bless you all. And by the way, yes, that is an AI image that I crafted. I believe Ojos Azules wanted to know. So there you go. All right. So why don't we do this? Let's drop into the chart of the moment. Let's do that. Let's set the stage for where we are now. And then we will move into deeper layers of where we are headed. All right. So here we go. Okay. Let me get back to center and let's get into the chart of the moment. I'll have to do this. Make it that one. There we go. And let's present it right here. All right. So, yeah, that's tonight. That's right here, right now. Let's zoom in a little bit. How have people been doing with that Scorpio moon? Whoa. That's pretty intense. Pretty intense. How can I say this? Can I say this without getting in trouble? I've already committed myself to it, haven't I? All right, I'll say this in a way that indemnifies this. It's a total Moon Scorpio Mars square moment. Okay. Ran across somebody yesterday who told me that their lover had a heart attack in flagrante, if you know what that means. And where do you hear that? Well, you hear that when the moon in Scorpio squares Mars and Leo. Dude had a heart attack. He had a heart attack. And he was in the throes of passion. And he expired. That's what you get on a moon Mars square when Mars is in Leo. Leo rules the heart. The moon is the underworld, right? And it's also sort of in the realm of the taboo. Like, you don't really hear about that every day, do you? Not everybody tells you, hey, I fucked my lover to death one time, right? And there was no foul play involved. There's no foul play. It was just kind of a Rockefeller sort of thing. And I had to ask, because inquiring minds wanted to know, well, did he at least orgasm? I didn't get a clear answer from that. Did not get a clear answer. My sense was no. That he didn't go out in a blaze of glory. But God bless. If you are going to go out, then why not do it Rockefeller style. That's what happens when you get this Moon-Mars square. The secrets are revealed. And right now we've got this Moon-Uranus square opposition right here. Mars coming in. Boy, look at this thing right here. We got Mars and Uranus. They are, this is a holy shit kind of moment, right? Energetically. And remember, we had Mars retrograde, went back to 17 degrees Cancer. Do you know what's around 17 degrees Cancer? The United States sun. That's right. The United States sun is right around 17 degrees Cancer. It is conjunct fixed star Sirius. So that is where Mars stationed. Remember? Back in February? Stationed there. Or January, rather. Stationed. 17 degrees. So normally, Mars and Leo, we would have been done with this a long time ago. Oh no, not now. The gods have other designs with this Mars-Uranus square, fixed sign, by the way, with Mars in Leo and Uranus in Taurus. Now, I am going to tee up the June 14th chart because that's the day. That is the big day. That is when Jupiter is at, I believe, 1 Cancer and comes in and starts to square Saturn. We're going to get into all that. We are going to get into all, but this is what's happening right now, and the tension is building. It is getting thicker and thicker, and you can just feel it. You can feel it, and it feels like with this moon in Scorpio, especially just looking at it right now, is sort of like an indicator, not necessarily in San Antonio, but you're going to get this chart pretty much throughout most of the United States, maybe off a few degrees, but you're going to have the moon somewhere at this time in the 12th house, and Mars will be up here somewhere in the 9th house. It might shift a little bit, but for me, this is also very much about planning. Like, what is going on right now? What are people in, I would say, darkened rooms where they leave their cell phones outside, because this is what is asked of activists, right? When you go to an activist meeting, whatever it is, they have somebody that collects your cell phone. Now, I don't know if they do anything with those cell phones. I assume because you have to have a password to get on your cell phone, that it would be a bit more difficult for whoever's taking those cell phones and giving them back to do anything. But when you're inside of the meeting, there's no cell phones there. So it is literally happening like in the 12th house, a place nobody goes, right? It's like, here you go. This is not for everybody. This is literally for like the underground. And this moon in Scorpio really feels like that. It feels like that kind of application where things are brewing, right? When I think of the moon in Scorpio, and this is not I'm not saying this to demean anyone who has the moon in Scorpio. So I have to always put that disclaimer up there. When I think of the moon in Scorpio, well, first of all, the moon is ruled by Cancer, right? It's a Cancerian thing. It's very homey. Am I not right? Like, the moon is very homey, especially when you have a nice home that's doesn't have to be fancy, but it's sort of well tailored and warm, and it has that nurturing kind of sort of cozy feel, right? Like, that's your kind of moon and there's like a pot of soup on the oven. You say, oh wow, that smells really good, and you can maybe smell something baking in the oven. It's like, this is what I'm talking about, right? You're getting the flavor, you're getting the feel of like the home and the moon and Cancer. Okay, transpose all of that to, instead of a pot of soup on the stove, you got a cauldron. you got a cauldron over an open fire, and somebody with a pointed hat is stirring that open fire. Right? To me, there's an essence of the moon in Scorpio that is kind of like that. Yeah. True story, weird story, maybe funny, depends on your sense of humor. I have a close friend, dear friend, and she has two children. One is a son, the other is a daughter, and the son I knew a lot more than the daughter. I met the son when he was about 6 years old. And he and I would do things together every now and then. His dad was, I don't know where his dad was. He might have been in prison or something. Or maybe just he was nowhere around. This kid was a genius. Now, I didn't know it then, but he evolved into being a genius. His father he was called the Edison of Ohio, I believe, or Indiana. Called the Edison of Indiana. That was his kid's father. So he grows up and he becomes a genius. And I'm having a conversation with his mother one day, and somehow we got on the topic of Marina Abramovic. I don't know how we got there. I might have brought it up or whatever. And she said, "Oh, so and so spent the summer with her," meaning her son. I'm like, "Really? Oh yeah, yeah. He spent the summer with her. He said that she was really nice, and she made great soup." I'm like, I don't know what kind of soup that woman was making, but he liked it. He liked that soup, and I think she put on the friendly forest switch face for him, and I know why he was there, because he's kind of an expert in augmented reality. He's worked with a lot of celebrities. Like, I think he was working with Mark Ruffalo at one point in time. So he's got a big kind of celebrity connection with this high technology. And I think she was very interested in using that as part of her performance art or whatever. But yeah. So if you're ever I think Abramovic lives in Pennsylvania, I think. If you're out there in Pennsylvania and you're cruising by Marina's house, there might be a pot of soup on the stove. And from what I understand, it's quite good. But this is the moon in Scorpio. It is in the third decan, which puts it, guess what? In the Cancerian decan. It's just gone in there. So we've been talking about Cancer and this Scorpio moon, and it actually kind of fits, doesn't it? But this is happening behind the scenes right now. Things are being stirred up. And we are entering into fixed T-square territory. Again, we're going to take a look at the astrology for Saturday, but I think this is what literally what's cooking. Literally what is cooking is in this T-square. I'm just curious. I don't often do this, but what is the Sabian symbol for that degree? Let's just check it out. Every now and then, it's like, holy shit, right over the target. So we're with 23 Scorpio. Let's see what we got here. 23 Scorpio. Oh, very interesting. Very, very interesting. There is something rather supernatural about that degree. A rabbit metamorphoses into a nature spirit. How about that? The raising of animal drive to a higher level. Well, I think this is like Dane Rudhyar's interpretation. I don't know if because what Rudhyar did, here, I'll show this for you guys. What Rudhyar did is he not only interpreted the Sabian symbols, but he actually changed a number of the symbols that were originally used by Mark Edmund Jones. So I think Dane Rudhyar saw himself as the Ezra Pound to T.S. Eliot's, poetic mind, and Pound, of course, was the major editorial force behind The Wasteland, which made that a great poem. So here we go. The raising of animal drives to a higher level. The rabbit is traditionally a symbol of overabundance and progeny, thus of a great stress on procreative and sexual processes. Nature spirits, on the other hand, represent the higher aspect of life energies, as they are said to guide those normally invisible forces controlling the growth of all living organisms, particularly in the vegetable kingdom. Thus, the symbol refers to the transmutation of the generative power into a more ethereal and subtle form of potency. I don't know, man. That sounds a lot like, sounds a little bit like animal sacrifice to me, right? It's like, okay, we're going to somehow create. How do you turn? How does a rabbit metamorphosize into a nature spirit? I mean, maybe they go down the rabbit hole and then on the other side they come up as a nature spirit, but you don't notice it because you can't see into that dimension. This is the third symbol in the 47th sequence. It brings a new dimension to the preceding two, whether it is the sexual desire for a progeny or aggressiveness. The instinctual urge can be raised to a new level. The course can become subtle through the process of transubstantiation. Now, what Rudyard is talking about are the preceding symbols, and this is, when you read Rudyard or who's the Linda, what's her name? I forgot her name now. But when you read Rudyard, he talks about the symbols having this sort of triune connection, and you can see it here because this symbol is referencing the two previous symbols, right? It's right. It's right here. It says this is the third symbol in the 47th sequence. It brings a new dimension to the preceding two. Well, the first one is Scorpio 21, obeying his conscience. A soldier resists orders, a readiness to face the result of a refusal to follow the authoritarian patterns of an aggressive society. If I had started this show, I don't know, 2 hours ago, you'd probably get that degree of the moon. And that's what we'd be reading, right? But because I started, in fact, well, yes, would have been about 2 hours ago. And so then you have Hunter shooting wild duck, which, by the way, was a symbol that I connected with when Scalia got shot. Like, I think there was something happening at 22 Scorpio right around that time. It's like, holy shit. So you got hunters, people with guns shooting wild ducks. And then previous to that, you have obeying his conscience. A soldier resists orders. So I think these 3 degrees of Scorpio really set up the stage for what's coming this weekend. And again, these are generally read to be in, like, I don't know, you would call them quatrains, like in a series of 3, like a trinity. Or we could go here and then here and then here. But what Rudyard is really referencing is these 2 previous symbols, and this is where it starts. Obeying his conscience, a soldier resists orders. Interesting, very interesting. Let's get back to we'll go to the chart of the day again. Bring this up. All right, so that's what we're talking about. So 22:45, we just rounded up to 23. Once it gets past that 30-minute mark. So yeah, this is tension, this is friction, and this is Mars getting ready to hit the boiling point. And I believe Mars is going to be just about exact on Saturday, June 4th. So we have Mercury, which has just gone into Cancer, right? 0 degrees. And here's Jupiter. We're going to say goodbye to Jupiter and Gemini. Bye, Jupiter and Gemini. See ya. It's been great. We won't see you again for another 12 years. 12 years. The world's going to be a very different place 12 years from now, isn't it? Jupiter didn't do anything with Pluto this go round. Pluto going into Aquarius. But it will next time. It will next time. It get into a trine and kind of a deep trine with Pluto, almost getting ready to ingress out of Aquarius. 14-year cycle. 12 years from now, we won't have a lot of time on the clock with Pluto now, will we? But Jupiter's about ready to move into Cancer. We'll talk about that a bit later in the show. Mercury is at 0 Cancer, so that's all first deck and stuff. And for the next 10 degrees of Mercury in Cancer, which means the next 10 days, it's listening is really heightened. Really, really heightened. Mercury in Cancer, if you are blessed to have Mercury in Cancer in your chart, first of all, you have a retentive memory. That's number one. Number two, you might be good at facts and figures. Mostly figures, but good. Like Cancer is really good at books, accounting, all that stuff. Number three, you are blessed with being a good listener. People that have Mercury in Cancer are great listeners. They may not say anything, right? But their listening can provide a very healing effect. So if you have Mercury, my father had Mercury in Cancer. And, and for such a volatile man, he was an incredible listener. Like he was a real contrast, excuse me, in those two areas. He could be really volatile, but then he could be this incredible listener. And I really owe that to his Mercury in Cancer. Plus, he was a great jeweler, and he was really good with lots of handiwork and, working with metals and all kinds of shit, right? And you'll get that with Mercury in Cancer as well. Like, Mercury represents your arms and your hands, right? It's ruled by Gemini. So, this is what you get with Mercury. It's not just your brain. It's not just how you move, but it's also things like agility and, being able to, be really, really good at work with your hands. Like at times, even micro, like micro work, like Mercury. That's what it's about. And we can just go through every sign if we wanted to and assign some value to it. But Mercury in Cancer, it's going to be crafty, fix it. It's going to be great for listening. Can be generally reserved. People that have Mercury in Cancer, they not, depending on where it is in their chart. If they've got a Sun-Mercury conjunction, it's a little bit different. But they can be quiet. But when they say something, people, in as much as they've been listening, if they've been quiet and they say something, people generally listen. People generally listen to people that have Mercury in Cancer. Why? Because they listen more than they talk. So when they say something, it's like, oh, look, let's hear what he has to say, or hear what she has to say. Now, being in the first 10 degrees, which would be 10 days, wherever Cancer lines up in your chart, that's where you flip on your listening skills. That's where you can just be present and, hear the other person out. So if you know your chart, just wheel it around. And of course, I use Placidus. I don't use whole signs. But, if it's in the 10th house Mercury is actually, if you have a transit of Mercury in your 10th house, even if it's in Cancer, you're going to be communicating. Like, you're going to be talking to the world if it's transiting through your 10th house. And I'm just giving you an example. And you may not be that comfortable with it, honestly. But when the time comes and they point that finger and say, go, you'll do fine. You'll do really, really fine. So again, just figure out where it is, what house it's in, and deploy it accordingly. If you got Mercury, I'll just give you a little Mercury tour. If you got to go through your 7th house, great so you'd have to be a Capricorn rising, right? So Capricorn rising people out there, you got Mercury over here. Yeah, I guess what's going to happen, you get to listen to your partners. You get, that kind of crusty Capricorn facade, right? We know Capricorn rising can be it can be a little sandpapery at times. Although we love Capricorn rising because they mature early, they grow up early, they have a serious sense of duty about them. And sometimes they actually inherit some very heavy duty family obligation. Some of them actually become parents. You know, like one parent will die, or there's a divorce, or somebody like is just not around. Whoever that Capricorn rising kid is, they naturally step up, and that's who they become, right? They just take on that responsibility. But over here in the 7th house, it's like, oh, well, let me listen to this person. Great transit for communicating with people on a one-to-one basis. Fantastic. Really fantastic. So maybe you're Capricorn rising and you're a therapist. Man, you're going to love this transit of Mercury through the 7th house. And if you're not, well, it's great for listening to your clients. If you are a one-on-one person, whatever your client is, people have clients all the times, or just simply in a relationship, Mercury is your best friend. And you would be seen as being surprisingly receptive to conversations. So you Capricorn rising people out there, you're gonna surprise some people. If you put Mercury in the 8th house, well, that's a deep dive, isn't it? That's going into the taboo. That's going into the dark, into the abyss, the underworld. And for me, this is perhaps not as much listening, but more exploring, more research oriented. If you've got an 8th house Cancer and you got Mercury going in there, it is a fantastic time to dig into your genealogy. Absolutely great time to dig into your genealogy. And I was thinking about this today, actually. And it had to do with financing and getting money or loans for either homes or property, maybe projects. I was more like homes, property. And I had this going through my head today. And it was like, okay, well, let's say you get into real estate. How did you figure out how to get into the bank process, the lending? And when I say real estate, I'm not just talking about buying your own home, but buying homes or property on speculation, flipping, turning them there, whatever, right? How did people figure that out? Did they have somebody that stepped them through that? Did they just go, take a course with the Vietnamese guy in his boat with all of his bikini-clad babes? What was his name? Tom Vu? You guys remember Tom Vu? I'm Tom Vu, you're not. But this is why I'm bringing up this Mercury transit to the 8th house in Cancer, because it's not just about your lineage and sort of exploring the depths of that, but it's also, how do I get resources? How do I get resources if I need to tap into other people's money? We'll go with a bank or a credit union or something like that. Are there programs out there for certain people where if you needed some startup or some seed money, I'm not talking about a huge amount like 2.5 million, but somewhere between, I don't know, $50,000, $250,000, like what is out there? If you're looking to do that and you happen to have Mercury going through your 8th house, boy, it's a really good time to find out how these things work. So this is another example. Mercury in the 9th house. Hey, if you got Mercury transiting in Cancer through your 9th house, I hope you're traveling. I really hope you're traveling, because the people you're going to meet are going to be super cool. They're going to be family oriented. They're going to value tradition. It'll be fantastic. You'll have a great time. Make sure if you've got Mercury going through your 9th house, go to the country, hang out in the country. Don't necessarily hang out in the city, right? Cancer is very country and folk oriented. So I really love this. Just get off the beaten path and go experience the people and learn their stories. Hell, you can do that in America, but some places you may want to carry an equalizer. I'm just saying. No, I'm kidding. There's still some very cool parts of America. Let's go to the 11th house. Mercury transiting through the 11th house in Cancer. get ready to have your friends have you on fucking speed dial with Mercury going through Cancer in your 11th house. You are gonna. You have a minute? I promise I won't take up too much of your time. I promise. Sure. Go ahead. No problem. Okay. All right. Do you remember the last time we talked? Yeah, it was 10 minutes ago. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's what you're going to be dealing with here. Your friends are going to have feelings, and guess what? You're going to hear their feelings. There's always a time to shut them down, right? There's always time to shut them down. And patience does run a little thin in that area because, well, Mercury is squaring Saturn. So it's like, know when enough is enough. Know when enough is enough. And say, you know what? I'm really, really, really sorry to hear that. And why don't we talk in the next couple of days? And I'm going to let you kind of find your legs here a little bit, and we'll come back, and we'll something like that, right? Because the other thing too is that Mercury Saturn square, not always a lot of patience, right? Now Mercury's also in square with Neptune, and that is a problem. Like, and this is going to be squaring Neptune for what, like the next 8 days, 9 days. You have to filter out the truth from people as well. You have to filter it out. That's really, really important. You have to ask yourself, okay, what is really going on here? What is really, really going on? Is this person's issue? What is their issue? What's going on? What is the truth here? And we had a really interesting discussion over breakfast today. And I'm not going to get personal with names here, but the discussion was about somebody who has a very popular YouTube channel, and a lot of people believe that this person is absolutely brilliant, right? Almost like a savant because of the memory and all this stuff, right? And can really provide a very compelling case for a lot of theories. And yet this person has been known to make some pretty bad choices in their personal life. And it's like, okay, do we allow for a degree of genius, or I wouldn't really say enlightened thinking, but we'll just say high level thinking? Okay. So do we allow for that and say, oh, this is great over here, but meanwhile, this person has demonstrated really poor judgment in the choices they've made and how those choices are and have unfolded in their life. And to me, this is the Mercury Neptune square that we're, because you're asking really delicate questions. We're asking delicate questions about people who are kind of in the YouTubeosphere and have certain things that they're saying that sound very profound and deep, and they may be, but as they demonstrate in their personal lives, it's like, whoa. So can the two things be mutually exclusive? This is what I'm saying. And so with the Mercury Saturn square, you're coming to some, it's like, hey, let's pump the brakes. With the Mercury Neptune square, the fuel line is leaking. So it's a really interesting combination here. And so when you're in the 12th house and getting into some of these discussions over the next 8-9 days with some of your friends, don't be afraid to pump the brakes. And again, the number one tool of communication, always ask people if they want to hear what you have to say. If you have an opinion or a take that you want to share, ask them. And if they're open to it, you have carte blanche. You have the red carpet. But if you start telling them what you think without it, doesn't work for anybody. And that's really going to be even more imperative with these squares going on. Mercury, Saturn square, Mercury, Neptune square. And the other thing too is that people will take, especially in that 11th house, because we're still hanging out here with this Mercury in the 11th house. People are going to take things really fucking personally. Really personally. We don't get, the moon and Sag could be a little bit better, but man, we're coming up on a full moon. It's going to be really kind of zealous, right? There's a lot, wow, the zealotry is at an all-time, it's not quite at an all-time high level yet, but we're going to get there. We really don't get into that sort of, detached part of the moon until it goes into Aquarius. And that is what, 2, 4, about 5 days away. So that'll be what next week. So we're going to have a transiting moon Pluto conjunction on Saturday. Wow. That's not very detached, is it? No, it's not. So it feels like there's a lot of, especially pretty early, I will take the moon out of this. We'll just go right here. Mercury, Saturn, Neptune. People take things very, very personally. And hey, do like a McAfee scan on yourself. Like, am I taking this personally? Is whatever's happening in this space about me? Is it on me? Chances are it's not. The chances are it's not. But it's tricky. Like this is a really tricky transit. If you have Mercury in the transit through your 12th house, which basically would make you a Cancer rising or perhaps a Gemini rising. You'd be very early Gemini rising. If you have Mercury going through your 12th house, you'll be talking to yourself a lot. I'm sorry. It's true, though. Like, it's really, really true. The dialogue in your brain, like, is going, oh, where'd that thought come from? Where'd that thought come from? And there can be, Mercury going through the 12th house can be a bit mediumistic. But with the Saturn Neptune square, you better be careful who you're inviting in for your conversations. That's all I'm saying. I would be vetting anything that is coming through the spirit world if you've got Mercury transiting through your 12th house. Vet them. You have your border patrol, your psychic fence, right? Like who goes there? You might be able to learn a lot from your dreams if you've got Mercury transiting through your 12th house. That second decan, which would be 11 days from now, that's where it gets. If you had Mercury going through your 12th house in that second decan, that's where it gets a bit heavy going through Scorpio, processing, a lot of dark matter. But you might learn something too, right? Everything is sort of grist for the mill, as they say. If you got Mercury going through your first house or your Cancer rising, I think this is a really interesting transit for Cancer rising people. Like, this is a time where normally a sign that is more reticent, shy, not always good at everyday interactions. Boy, Mercury in the first house, you Cancer rising people, you have a lot to say. Because it's been building up for a while. You've had it going through your 12th house. So I think this is a really good time for Mercury Cancer rising. But again, it may be a bit awkward because initially, what's it doing? Squaring Saturn, squaring Neptune, right? Don't let it shut you down. Don't let it. You have to get through some of that awkwardness, and you will. You'll get through it, and you may have a lot to say, and you may not be completely happy or positive about what you have to say. And that's okay. Just remember, get permission. Can I tell you something? Do you want my take? Yeah. You're a total fucking asshole. That's my take. Oh, thanks. You know what? I agree with you. Good. Let's shake and hug. Mercury go through the second house. Now, this is interesting. If you got Cancer there, right? You got Cancer. That means, guess what? You're Leo rising. I'm sorry, you're a Gemini rising. You're full on gemster, right? Yeah, gemster. You have Mercury going through your second house. Be careful with your finances because Mercury squaring Saturn, but also squaring Neptune. And look, I think it would be a good time for you to look at your finances, right, and try to make sure that people don't have your passwords, right? They don't have your pass. I would say look into that in terms of security. That's number one. But if you're also looking to invest, and a lot of times Mercury second house transits can be really good for that. I don't know. I would probably wait until it gets past 10 degrees and goes into that Scorpio decan, where I think it'll be much better at investing through like other institutions and services, other people's money. So I would kind of hold off for a while, but just make sure that if you are compromised, like you stop the bleeding. You stop the bleeding. So you people that are Gemini rising, you have Cancer down here, right? You may want to look into that. Just saying. Mercury going through your third house. Communication, writing. That's always going to be a third house activity. Here we go. We're talking about siblings, right, in the third house, and it's not just you, but if you have siblings and you got that Mercury going through your third house, you may get some conversations that you don't really want to have. They may be very difficult, especially if you're dealing with things like estates and wills. You may get some of that with Mercury going through your second house, but in the third house, you're dealing with siblings, right? You're going to be dealing with those siblings. And so if we have Mercury here in Cancer, right, then we're looking at Aries, Neptune, Saturn in Aries, and it's going to be we got Gemini here, and then we have Taurus here, and then Aries in the 12th house. Yeah, that's dealing with information right out of the blue, right? So yeah, that's if you've got Mercury going through your third house, and you're going through any will and testate stuff, you just keep your cool. Keep your cool. Yeah. Fourth house, Mercury going through your fourth house. It's a lot of phone calls, a lot of communication from home. But I also think that that's actually really good for repairs. So that means you're an Aries rising, right? Because now we have a natural chart. Mercury through the fourth house is really good for home repair. And, fixing leaks, which a Mercury-Neptune square would all be about, and Mercury-Saturn square, like you're also like getting down into your foundation. You're looking at sort of how your house was built, or some of the work that was involved at a certain point, maybe work that was done before you got your house, and now all of a sudden you're discovering things. It's like, oh shit, they did this wrong, right? But then the good news is you can remedy that with Mercury going through your fourth house. Mercury fifth house, dramatic communication. If you're a writer or a poet, does anybody write poetry anymore? Does anybody write poetry anymore? When I was young, of course, everybody wrote poetry when you were young, right? And I had this like idea that at a certain point I was going to be a poet. And I remember I was working at Long's drugstore, and I was in junior college, and I'm like, I don't think this poetry thing is really going to pan out. I got to move on to something else, right? And I'm 19. Doesn't everybody around 19 kind of grow out of writing poetry? I think it was a big thing for me for a while. And I went to college and I studied English literature, and I didn't always like the poets that I read. I was like, okay, that's all right. Some of it was good, some of it I liked. But Mercury in the fifth house transit, like it's good for fiction. It's good for creative imagination. But it can also be a bit overly dramatic, especially again with the Saturn Neptune square, right? And that's going to be happening, and again, for the first 10 days around the same. But by and large, I like Mercury going through the 5th house. I'll tell you where it works out. If you have a kid that's going through some issues in their life, and you have Mercury going through the 5th house, you can be a real help to them. A real help. Try not to be too judgmental. Try not to fix everything at once, but also don't just give them a pass and say, oh, those are evil people or whatever, right? Oh, you didn't deserve. Like, you can gently help them untie some of the knots that they got tangled. So if you've got Mercury go through your 5th house and you run into some issues with your, when I say children, I'm just like younger children, between 0 and like say 13, something like that, right? It can be very, very helpful. Just try not to be too judgmental. I mean, that brings us back to the 6th house, and that has to do with health and healing. And Mercury in Cancer can be really, really good there. If you're a person that's sort of self-diagnoses, like if you do a self-diagnosis, if you're one of those people, like Mercury in Cancer can be really good going through your 6th house. It can be very, very helpful, right? But again, with that Saturn-Neptune square, you want to make sure that if you come upon some kind of a remedy or something, do not overdo it. It's better to kind of underdo it before you like, oh, well, here, I'm this big and I can do it. No, take your time, right? Mercury in the 6th house can be really, really good for helping you sort through some health issues. But you cannot, like, and by the way, even with that Saturn-Neptune square, I would actually ask some of your friends or people that you know that are in that, in a related field, hey, what do you think of this? Have you heard about this? Have you tried this? What do you know? That'd be very, very helpful, just so you don't wind up poisoning yourself. And that brings us back to the 7th house, which is where we started this whole Mercury in Cancer conversation. The Sabian symbol for this Mercury is really, really interesting. And I know this because this is the degree of my Mars. My Mars is at 0 Cancer. And since we have the Sabian symbols up, why don't we just go there and I'll show it to you so I don't have to paraphrase it. But I'm telling you, it is a very interesting symbol for the time that we are in, right? So we know that it goes 0 to 1 if 0 is past 30 minutes, right? So check this out. This is a very important symbol. Cancer 1 on a ship, the sailors lower an old flag and raise a new one. This is where the true node was right before it went into Gemini. And at this point, we are deeply entrenched in our homes with COVID or whatever COVID was, right? This degree of Cancer was part of the 2 weeks to stop the spread. 2 weeks to stop the spread. Right here, the most potent part of Cancer. And I'll never forget when they held the NFL draft, which is in April. And the GMs of the various teams sat at home and made their picks. Like, okay, I'm getting this guy right here, and whatever. Right? It was like the first NFL Zoom draft was what it was. And then Bill Belichick was there, and he was at home. And there are people now that are trying to go over that videotape to see if Jordan's face is somewhere in the background. I think what's his name? The guy that is the writer for Dan Le Batard, Pablo Torre. I think Pablo Torre is going over that draft day video footage from Bill Belichick to see if Jordan Hudson's face, it can be seen somewhere in Bill Belichick's monitor, because she could have been around that, right? When did they meet? 2021? It's 20. Yeah, do we really believe that? Maybe it was before that. Anyway, here we go. This was in the, and what was really interesting about this degree and what was happening is Tom fucking Brady. Okay? Tom Brady did this, and he did this right around this time with this symbol, where he was no longer a New England Patriot, and he becomes a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. Now, what's fascinating about this is that changing the flag, right, on a ship, the sailors lower an old flag and raise a new one. You know, did that? Fucking pirates did that. That's where we get false flag from, right? It's like, hey, there's those Frenchmen. Hey, bonjour, bonjour. And the ship gets closer and closer. Hey, bonjour. You gotta go, bonjour, bonjour. And they get about, I don't know, a couple hundred feet away. It's like, hoist the flag. And up goes the skull and crossbones. And we're like, oh, fuck. We're fucked. Fire the cannons. Right? So this is what this is about. This is where we get false flag from. It comes from running into pirates on the high seas, pretending to be something that they're not. So this is what Tom Brady did. He went from being a patriot, right, to being what? A buccaneer who is a pirate. Captain America revealed his true identity. He says, I'll work for fucking anybody. I'll work for anybody who's got the money, matey. And won a Super Bowl. So hats off to Tom. A radical change of allegiance, exteriorized in a symbolical act, a point of no return. Here we go. We have now reached a square 90-degree angle to the beginning of the cyclic process. It's talking about 0 Aries. This is a moment of crisis. Here we are. We've just reached it, right? We are reaching this moment of crisis because Mercury is squaring, right, the astrological new year right now. A sharp turning point in the zodiacal cycle. The summer solstice, the northward motion of the sun in decimation stops. The sun rises and sets far north of exact east and west as it can during the year cycle. Its motion is now reversed. Slowly, the sunset points move southward on the western horizon. If you're into the blow birth thing, some of you might be, some of you may not be. If you're not, then you may disregard that part, but continue to listen. Slowly, the sunset points move southward on the western horizon, and the length of the day decreases. In the lunation cycle, from new moon to new moon, this is the first quarter phase, right? So this is the first quarter phase of the zodiac, and it's kind of a building phase now. Things are building up. All right. On the ship, which symbolizes the ego consciousness, floating as it were on the sea of the vast unconscious, the individualized will make a basic decision. The dominant yang force allows the yin force to begin its 6-month long rise to power. The collective will gradually overcomes the individual, because we are in the individual cycle, right? From Aries to Libra is the individual cycle. And once we move past Libra, we are in the collective cycle. At the end of the state will overpower the person. Oh, listen to that. Now, however, the individual person enjoys his most glorious hour. He exults in his ability to make a free decision, to act as an individual who selects his life goal and his allegiance. This is the first stage of the 19th fivefold series of degree symbols in a decisive act heavy with consequences. The symbolic college youth might realize they should bring to an end his quest for the ideal companion and enter into matrimony. He assents to the possibility of progeny, of home responsibility. His consciousness accepts a process of fundamental reorientation
implying the stabilization of his energies. All right, so what Rudyard is saying here is that in the world that he lived in at that time, when he was doing these reinterpretations or interpretations, the first time, like I don't even think Mark Edmund Jones like dove into this. He said, "Here, Dane, you do this." And when he was doing this kind of at the tail end of the 1960s. I think Mandala comes out in the early 70s. And what he's used to, what's happening culturally, is that there is this massive youth uprising. He writes about this, by the way, in some of these other symbols. In the United States, in Europe, right? He's not unaware, and he uses these as examples. But in his mind, how he sees this degree is that he sees the kind of the wild-eyed youth basically saying, okay, I'm done with that. I'm done with being a hellraiser. I'm done with, mixing Molotov cocktails. I'm going to embrace society's norms. I'm going to find a mate and a partner and start a family. For him, this is the lowering of one flag, which is the flag of sort of like the restlessness of immature youth, and a new flag of, hey, I'm ready to take on this responsibility. What's interesting is that Rudyard is actually referencing Capricorn, which is the opposite sign. So, and I think he's well aware of this too when he talks about this. But he's not living in our current time. So when we see a symbol like this, right, and it's just starting out, we're just starting out, zero Cancer, one Cancer with the Sabian symbols. By the time we get into this weekend, Jupiter's going through the same fucking thing, right? Jupiter will move to 0-1, and we'll be like, oh, wow. But guess what happens with Jupiter? It just makes everything fucking bigger, right? Much bigger. And we're not living in sort of the tail end of the 1960s, going into the 1970s, where you had a lot of people in the protest movement. They get involved in things like human potential, and they become yuppies, right? This is what happens. They're shaving, they're cutting their hair. They're cutting their hair and they're putting on a tie. And just like Jerry Rubin going to fucking Wall Street. We're not in that time. We're in a time of massive, massive change. And the unrest, historically, right? Remember when we started to look at Saturn and Aries? What was it? Was it last week when we did this? Or 2 weeks ago? I did a whole show on Saturn and Aries. And we went back in time and we looked at 1968, which is that period of major unrest. The Summer of Love comes to an end. You've got the Tet Offensive going on in Vietnam. You have the riots in Chicago at the Democratic Convention. This is where the Weather Underground really starts to make their presence known. They kind of go in and they bum rush the SDS convention, Students for Democratic Society. They're the ones that started, but by the time it's over, it belongs to the Weather fucking Underground. And that's all 1968. And then you've got the backdrop of like Black Power. You have, the Black Panthers, and you can say, well, these are all infiltrated, and they're all run by these state-sponsored operations. Some of them were, and some of them weren't. Like somebody brought up Angela Davis, I think, is like a state-sponsored. No, she wasn't. Angela Davis was a dumbass radical. And she was a radical, and she got celebrated for being a radical, and she got teaching gigs. She went to Moscow. She was not some kind of state-sponsored like op. Eldridge Cleaver was. There are people who were, right? There's a strange, weird connection with the Weather Underground and the CIA. All the Weather Underground kids, they all come from very well-to-do upper middle-class homes, right? Like I'm not sure why they want to blow shit up, but they do. But it's coming to an end, right? It's coming to an end by the time Rutgers. But in 1968, holy shit, the world was on fire, right? And then we go to like the late 90s, like 97, 98. We're getting into more of this stuff. Some of it has to do with like what happens in 1996 in Atlanta with Richard Jewell. There's this whole thing going on where, we got all these sleeper cells. We got all these modern American patriot terrorists, right? Like Tim McVeigh, I think gets killed. He theoretically gets assassinated on 9/11 of 1996, if I'm not mistaken. And you got all these wars. You got the Kosovo thing going on. You got shit happening in Rwanda. I'm just telling you that it was a very, very violent time. The last time Saturn went into Aries. Neptune was not there. Neptune was not there. Now Neptune is there. And now we got Saturn and Neptune. And that is really intense, right? Like that is a really intense conjunction because there is a zealotry with Neptune that comes in. And you're here. You are going to see people that are willing to die. They are willing to die for the cause, whatever the cause is. Now, whether or not the things that we see will be real, who the fuck knows, right? AI has gotten so good that there could be all these news sources flooded with AI imagery, and at the same time, real things happening that are perhaps just as riveting, shocking, gruesome, or who knows. It'd be nice if we got some redemptive stuff, wouldn't it be? Like all of a sudden people just realize, what are we doing? Why are we fighting each other? Why the fuck are we fighting each other? Let's just lay it down. I don't think it's going to happen. I'd like for it to, but I don't think it's going to happen. And I'll tell you, here's another thing. During this time, and Saturn and Neptune are going to come back together again. Oh, they're not done, right? We're going to see them come back together again next year. So it may not be this go round, but it might be the next go round, which will be in February of next year. There are two things that are going to happen with the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. Somebody is going to die and they will be martyred. They will be martyred. I guarantee you. Like somebody's going to die and it's going to be like bigger than George Floyd. Can you imagine that? Bigger than fucking George Floyd, St. George? Somebody's going to be martyred. And I'm not sure if these two things are connected, but they very well could be. Somebody is going to arise as a leader, some kind of revolutionary leader who has a very strong spiritual component to them. Very, very strong. So when they talk, when they deliver their speech or their sermons to the people, and I don't know which side it's going to be on. It can be on the left. Somebody's going to emerge, and it's going to be very powerful. Very, very. Is it Donald Trump? No, I don't think it's Donald Trump, by the way. I don't think, because Trump this is somebody new, right? When we talk about Aries, we're talking about new, something we haven't seen before, like a whole new model. And we've seen people who are angry and pissed off and F this and F that, right? And then we've seen kind of more academic people talk about things in ways that are policy-based or, kind of spouting the rhetoric of, social Marxist theory or whatever. Not really. This is a brand new model, and somebody who is very charismatic with the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. Now, I don't know if it's going to happen like in this conjunction or in February. I'm thinking maybe in February when we get into Aquarian territory. Just keep your eye on that. Keep your eye on an individual that has a lot of power over people, a lot of power, a lot of sway. It's something it's like, We haven't seen anybody like this since maybe Martin Luther King Jr. or maybe one of the Kennedys, like that level. And it could pose and to the point where they may be bringing people together that may be at odds with one another, because the dialectic, right, sounds really profound. It sounds like, oh, speaking universal truth. Watch out for this person. I'm just saying, what? And I know it sounds a lot like the Antichrist. I know it sounds like that. I'm not saying it is. Just watch out for this person. They are not what they seem to be, right? Because that's Neptune and Saturn conjunction in Aries. But keep your eye out for it. Okay. We're headed into a very intense period of time. Let me bring up this weekend chart. And I think it'll be a good segue to talk about Jupiter and Cancer as well. All right. So where are we here? Okay. So here's, see, I just want to make sure I got the right thing up here. Yeah, we do. And we got it right there. Make it bigger. Okay. So this is Saturday, June 14th, 2025. Okay. Right there. Boom. I put Washington, D.C., 12 p.m., high noon. I'll bring this in a little bit more. All right. So here we go. There's that Mars-Uranus square. Like, that is in fucking tense, right? And so one of the things that I've talked about with the 28th degree astrologically is that it is a very unstable degree, because the next degree is the 29th degree and there's nothing left, right? It's flat. But this is the degree of the supernova. And if some of you have taken my course, one of the people that I talk about in the course, I have like a lab. By the way, it's a great course. If you haven't purchased it, I purchased it before I raised the price of my new website. But one of the people I talk about, I've got 16 hours of talks and PDFs and labs and all kinds of stuff. One of the people I talk about is Bill Murray. And Bill Murray is born on the 21st of September. So his sun sign is at 28 Virgo. And Bill Murray is one of those guys, you never know what the fuck he's going to do, right? Oh, he's showing up at a wedding. Oh, look at him. He's peeing in the bunker on the 13th green in Carmel, right? Or doing some shit like that, right? Bill Murray, you can even see this, right? You can see this even in Groundhog Day. He's like that 28th degree. And every day he tries to do something wild and crazy and unpredictable until finally he figures out, okay, I'm just going to be a good dude. I'm not going to be a manipulative son of a bitch. So the 28th degree is like that supernova, right? It's like a supernova, and then 29th degree goes dark. It becomes like a black hole. And then at 0 degrees, a star is born. Right? So this is that degree. This is that degree. It is unfucking stable. Now, this Mars is right on Trump's ascendant. We're going to get to him. We're going to talk about Trump. Look at where Jupiter is. Jupiter's at 1 degree right there. 105. So if we go, let me just see if I can do this. I still have this up there. Hold on. Hold on. I have to go back in here. All right. Just give me 1 sec. I promise it won't be long. Okay, let's do this. Easy. This is easy peasies. So we're going to the 13th. The same thing. 12 noon. I don't really have to change the play. Here it is. All right, here it is, right here. Okay. I just wanted to show you guys. Okay, right here. There's Jupiter. Now, this is on the 13th, Friday the 13th. There's Jupiter at 0 degrees. Same Sabian symbol we've just been talking about. What's the next day? What is the next fucking day? It is Flag Day. Right? And we're talking about a symbol where there's a lowering of one flag and the raising of another. So Trump is taking Flag Day as a day to roll out, let's strike up the bands. Let's have a fucking parade. It's going to be very, very interesting what people do to the flag that day. This is going to be on the 13th, right? This is the symbol. It's right here, the 13th. And it's Trump's birthday too. Look at that. Look at that. Watch what people do to the flag over those 2 days. It is not going to be pretty. You're going to see the desecration of the United States flag in a way that you have never seen before, because these protesters they know what the fuck is going on, right? And we have this Mars-Uranus square. Look, you can say whatever you want about Trump. Trump loves the fucking American flag. He loves it. Like, it is something that he absolutely cherishes. And I'll tell you how much he cherishes it. When he wanted to put up a really tall flag in Mar-a-Lago, right? And the Mar-a-Lago City Council, American flag, kept ruling against his flag. It couldn't be over 50 feet, right? From when it was from, being in the ground to the top of the flag, it couldn't go over 50 feet. So they kept voting Trump down. And eventually he said, fuck it. I know what I'll do. I'll build a 15-foot hill. And that's what he did. He got his guys to do like a berm and put it and grassed it up so, it looked nice and uniform. And he stuck his flag in there. And they couldn't do anything. They couldn't do anything because it was in the land, right? He said, I won't lower the flag. I'll raise the land. That's what Trump did. That's how much he loves the flag. Okay. You're going to see major flag desecration happen this weekend. Major flag. And this is going to piss him off. He's already pissed. Like, this whole thing with Elon Musk is real. I'll bring it up. I have the chart for it. We talked about it on Thursday night. I'm happy to go over it. It is not fake. It is not artificial. It is not synthetic. It is a beef. I don't want to redo the whole show all over again, but I will cover some of it. So this is what's happening on Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th. That Mars-Uranus square right there. Jupiter. What's Jupiter doing? Squaring Neptune. Squaring Saturn. Oh, man. All right. Let's go back 4 years. Actually, be 5 years now. George Floyd. Summer of 2020. Americans watched with a sense of paralytic frustration over what they were seeing on TV. City after city on fire, burning. Shops being decimated. Thieves allowed to just ransack stores. There was a story about in New York when it's so fucking bizarre. Like, this whole George Floyd thing is so fucking bizarre. And these guys came in. They were hardcore thieves, really hardcore. They brought in welding torches, various saws, heavy blades, and they just busted through a New York jewelry store. Nobody did shit about it. And you say, well, those are all fucking rich people and it's insured. That was the mantra, wasn't it? Oh, it's all insured. Don't worry about it. In California, in Walnut Creek, where my mother was living, these guys went into the Dodge showroom and parking lot and lifted, I think, around 14 or 15 Chargers. I don't think they ever caught these guys, right? So Americans are watching this. And they're like, what the fuck? Like, is this our country? What the hell is happening here? And Donald Trump didn't do anything. The only thing that he could do was deploy troops where National Guard, like in Portland, where they were going after the courthouse in Portland, the federal courthouse. I know somebody whose brother was stationed there, and a lot of those guys who were stationed there whooped on some Antifa butt. Okay, but that's not all. That's not everywhere. So we're watching this stuff. We're watching this stuff. We're watching this stuff, and it doesn't get resolved. Statues get torn down, right? Like these are venerable statues. Thomas Jefferson. I don't know if you're into Christopher Columbus, whatever, right? And then later on, they're replaced by these god awful and hideous statues. But Americans have never forgotten about that moment. They've never forgotten about that summer. I'm telling you right now, they've never forgotten about that summer. And if this shit goes off the rail this Friday and this Saturday, your average American is not going to be sitting at home watching TV. They will not be on the other end of Gil Scott Heron's The Revolution will not be televised. Gil Scott Heron was wrong, by the way. You're going to see Americans out on the fucking streets. I'm telling you that right now. You got this Jupiter and Cancer. These are very American themes. Like Cancer, we are a Cancerian freaking country, right? Cancerian country. And there are Americans who are fed the fuck up. They're fed up. They're fed up with immigrants, unchecked immigration. They're fed up with now it's people protesting against Palestine. I don't think you can lump the Palestinian protesters in with the George Floyd people. I don't think you could. I don't think you should. I don't think it's fair. Right? I don't think it's fair. And what's happening is that they're mixing these agendas. They're mixing these influences now. So if you were pissed off about, BLM and Antifa in 2020, well, now you might be pissed off at the pro-Palestinian protesters, where they're just transferring your aggression. It's like that symbol with the rabbits, right? It's the transubstantiation of one's aggression. Well, now we got a new boogeyman. It's still the same aggression, but it's like it's moving into. I'm just telling you, this is going to be, if this shit goes down the way that I think it will, based on all these freaking squares, right? We got the Venus-Pluto square going on here. We got Mercury squaring Neptune, Mercury squaring Saturn. Like, it is freaking heavy. And I'm not the only astrologer that is going to tell you this. You're going to hear this from David. You're going to hear this from a lot of other astrologers. And it's just because this is where this is where the transits are. This is where the action is. I'm going to tell you that the American public is fed up. They're fed up. Now, Trump, if he's smart, and he's already starting to do this, he is starting to deploy the National Guard in California. Now, Newsom is not going to like it, although sometimes I think those two are involved in some kind of a circle jerk. They just like each other too much at times. But if he's smart, he will be proactive and he will empty the streets of protesters as quickly as possible. Because if he doesn't, what will happen is that the American public has said, they're going to say, fuck it. They're going to say, fuck it. We're going to take this thing into our own hands. And if that happens, we're really very, very close to some kind of martial law situation. where all of a sudden you got Americans firing on other Americans. I think this is a distinct possibility. A distinct possibility. Now, if you're one of those Americans who's pissed off, I get it. Completely understand it. 100%. I would stay away from the fracas. Stay away from the fracas. But here's what I will do. I would do. If I were you and you don't want to see another Summer of Floyd, you get on the phone to your congressman, your senator, to the White House, you phone them and you tell them that you will not tolerate another Summer of Floyd. You will not tolerate it. And they have to get the message, because Trump didn't do shit in 20. The party line was, well, let's expose them. We'll show the American people that this is what Democrats do. And then when November rolls around and we have our election, they'll remember all this shit. And there's no way Joe Biden will get elected. Yeah, that didn't work out too well. That did not work out that well. So I would not tell, I would stay away from the streets. Right? And you'll get some bad actors. You'll get some one flag, like, hey, guess what? I'm not really who I say I am, and I'm going to incite this group to do something. And whichever group, doesn't matter. Be on the left, be on the right, right? You still have that 0 degrees. One flag lowers and another flag is raising. I would not be surprised if you actually see something like that during this weekend. The most obvious flag that would be raised would be the LGBTQ plus AI flag, because it's Pride Month, right? And I guarantee you'll see that. You'll see that, or you'll see the Mexican flag. You'll see somebody or somebody's take down the American flag and they'll put the Mexican flag up, right? It's going to be one of those two flags. And it's like, there you go. There's your Sabian symbol. One flag lowers, another flag is raised. And again, it's around Flag Day, which is Trump's birthday. And he does not want anybody to spoil his birthday party. All right, so there's some groups involved. This weekend. And one of them is called Third Act. Let me show you Third Act. So Third Act, right? This is called Influence Watch. Here, let's do this. Let me see if I do this. Is that there? Right there. All right, right here. I'll go back to the other one. Third Act, No Kings, June 14th, National Day of Action. On Saturday, June 14th, 2025, Third Act joins the No Kings National Day of Action. So these are other groups. Rise up with us as we reject the president's taxpayer-funded birthday parade, which is also Flag Day, and corrupt display of strongman politics. So here we go. No King. June 14th, mass protest. Donald Trump is planning a military parade in Washington, D.C. for his birthday on June 14th. This display of might is intended to intimidate opponents and solidify his image as a strongman on our dime. We won't stand by while that happens. Instead of allowing this military parade to be the center of gravity, we'll make action everywhere else the story of America that day. People coming together in communities across the country to reject strongman politics. Third Act is proud to partner with Indivisible, Public Citizen, Social Security Works, and other groups in this effort. This country doesn't belong to a king, and we are not letting him throw himself a taxpayer-funded parade while slashing our rights and programs our families depend on. Sign up at No Kings to take the pledge to show on June 14th and be the first to get updates, tools, and ways to take action. Our role is to bring the power and wisdom of elders to this movement, making sure our voices are heard loud and clear. Okay, so here we've got No Kings. You got Heather Cox, Richardson, Massachusetts Attorney General Andrea Campbell and Congressman Jamie Raskin. Okay, so who are they? This is Bill McKibben's group. This is a group that gets a shit ton of fucking money. Last year, they got $39 million. $39 million. This is Bill McKibben's group, the Sustainable Markets Foundation. He's the one that runs Third Act. Okay? Where do they get their money from? MacArthur Foundation, Rockefeller Family Fund, the Tides Foundation. Oh, we know who they are. That's Mr. George Soros. Isn't that right? Right? This is George Soros's massive funding network. This guy, Drummond Pike, is just he's sort of the figurehead, the leader. But this is George Soros's. That's how they wash a lot of money. And the Tomcat Charitable Trust, the Sustainable Markets Foundation has been criticized as a dark money network by the right-leaning Washington Free Beacon. It's also been criticized for paying an LLC, Our Next Economy, independent contractor fees, reportedly to support Climate Investigation Center, CIC, a center-left environmental journalism group, instead of using grants. Okay, so this group was started by Bill McKibben, and Bill McKibben is an environmentalist, and he's a climate change guy. He's my age. He's born in 1960. But now they're veering off into, and have been veering off into this other direction. So in 2023, the foundation's revenue came from contributions and grants amounting to roughly $38 million. Organizations that gave money to Sustainable Markets Foundation that year include the Aspen Community Foundation, Amalgamated Charitable Fund, Climate Emergency Fund, Earthworks, Fidelity Investments, Charitable Gift Fund, Impact Assets, Inc., National Philanthropic Trust, New Venture Fund, National Resources Defense Council Action, blah, 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 blah. Tides, Rainforest Action Network, Women's Donor Network. In 2023, the foundation awarded a total of $8.4 million to other nonprofits. So they gave out $8 million to 350.org, Action for Race and the Economy, Alliance for Climate Education, Center for Justice and Democracy, Center for Media, Democracy, Initiative for Responsible Mining, Oil and Gas Action Network, Partnership Project. And then you have, this is the leadership. I guess this woman, Elizabeth Hitchcock, is the president of Sustainable Markets, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of fucking money. And here, I'll show you. It's right here. This is what I was just reading. Big numbers. Big numbers. Total assets is 44 million, and expenses 30 million. Actually, they have 44 million in assets. Holy shit. Okay, so they had $39 million come in 2023, and then they had $30 million of expenses. But their assets are 44 million. Those are their assets. That's not what they brought in. That's not assets, right? Their assets. I mean, that would be the net. 9 million would be their total net, but it's not. They've got $44 million that they're sitting on, and that they could use that to do whatever they want. Hire lots of protesters, I'm sure. Right? So let's get back to this Saturday. So here we go. The moon is in Aquarius, conjunct Pluto. We talked about that. Oh, the people are going to feel very intense about their causes. Super intense. The normally detached and kind of eccentric Aquarian moon is anything but that. Anything but that. This is going to be it's going to be a burner of a weekend. I'll tell you that right now. And then what's it doing, right? The moon and Pluto, they're squaring Venus. Venus and Taurus. Everything that we think of as being American conservative, sort of values based is really put to the test this weekend. Really, really put to the test. And yeah. And there are going to be people, I'm telling you, there are going to be people who have had enough, right? They've had enough. And unfortunately, I think you're going to see Americans who are generally law-abiding people, and they're going to be pissed. They're going to be very, very pissed. I'm going to bring something up here, which is tangential to this. We have been witness, either directly or indirectly, things that we know, right? Things that we know. We know these things. We know that these things were perpetrated by people who did not have our best interests at heart. And I'm talking about people hierarchically that are up here. We'll just pluck out, let's say, Tony Fauci, for instance. I would say that the majority of the people, if you were to ask them about Tony Fauci now, and again, there's no name attached to their response, no face attached to the response. I would say he would get a very negative rating, maybe 65-35, which is very negative for him. Remember, at one point, this guy was going to be the old grandfather, was going to save us all. Grandpa Tony. Has anything happened to Tony Fauci besides rumors that he was whisked off to some secret island somewhere? I don't think so. You see, this gets into the heart of the matter. People have been asking for justice for a long time now. Somebody, one of you motherfuckers out there has to be arrested and brought to fucking trial, right? And then guess what? We get to see it. We get to say, yes, right? Finally, one of these assholes who stole a shit ton of money through the government, right? Or somebody who commandeered the resources, or somebody who made our lives a living hell with their civil servant bureaucratic bullshit, finally comes under some degree of scrutiny, isn't just brought to Congress and kind of grilled and then catch and release. Oh no, this person is really putting their heels held to the fire, right? And Americans haven't seen that. We haven't. It's like nothing has happened. Remember, lock her up. Anthony Weiner is still roaming the streets of America. He's still a household name. I think he has a YouTube channel now. Now, if some of these people had been arrested, had been tried, and wound up getting sent off to jail, it would help diffuse some of the frustration of the American public. But it hasn't happened yet, right? And this gets into the whole Epstein thing. And, we had the show of all those influencers, DC Drano, Chad Prather, and fucking Mike Cernovich. I can't believe Mike Cernovich was there to get basically this nice little thing that has a shit ton of redacted files. They got nothing, right? And that was months ago. Nothing's happened. Nothing. The only thing that's happened is Dan Bongino and Cash Patel. Yeah, he killed himself. Yeah, we got the video. We have the video. You're going to see that video. Nothing's fucking happened. Now everybody's just waiting around for, you know, the floor to drop out on Diddy. Oh, look at all these politicians around Diddy. Oh, yeah, let's connect them. You think that's going to happen? I don't think it's going to happen. Diddy will do some time, maybe a few other people, but the real heavies, the Clive Davises of the world, no fucking way. Right? So people, what happens is that people get more and more jaundiced by all of this, and cynical. It's like nothing ever happens. Nobody that we would like to see get arrested ever gets arrested. Nobody that we would like to see go to trial ever goes to trial. Doesn't happen. If it had happened, at least once, twice, maybe 3 times, that tension has a pressure release valve. People can be vindicated. Hey, finally, somebody fucking had to take the fucking fall for that. Good. It would make these upcoming moments less tense. But because none of that has happened, people are thinking, well, fuck, if they're not going to take justice seriously, I will. Not me, but there are going to be people out there. And there will be agents provocateurs, just like January 6th, just like there were during the summer of Floyd, right? There are people that are staged, they're in those groups, and they were very skilled at igniting people. And they can ignite them anyway, right? So just let's take a look at this chart. This is 12 noon. 12 noon. This is the height of the sun on Donald Trump's birthday, June 14th. What do we see? We see Mars in the 12th fucking house. Hidden enemies at high noon on that day. Right? There's Mars. And then we have Mercury, Jupiter, Sun. And Mercury right here, we know it's been cooking. It's frothing. It is frothing. It's still in that square with Neptune. It is frothing like a rabid dog. And then we have the Jupiter-Neptune square. I mean, talk about zealotry, but it's going both ways. It's not just the people on the streets who want to put an end to Donald Trump's tyranny. No, the frothing is a universal theme. The zealotry is a universal theme. And then you have the sun coming in, right at the end of Gemini. What's it doing? It's squaring Saturn, squaring Neptune, more Neptune. Like, what can you believe? What are you going to be able to believe about this weekend? Like, you will see things that you cannot believe. And in some cases, you shouldn't, because some of those things that you see may not even be real. Welcome to the realm of AI. Welcome to Pluto and Aquarius. Welcome to Uranus and Gemini coming at you real fucking fast. Right? Real fast. And this is where we have Uranus right here, very unstable, giving us a glimpse as to what's coming with Uranus and Gemini. And then it's coming fast. Then it retrogrades out, and we get to catch up with it again next year. Right? Wow. This is really a very, very charged day. Supercharged day. Why don't we take a look at let's look at Trump's chart. We'll do a little Trump action here. Give me 1 second. I'm trying not to freak you guys out, but I'm also doing my best to decipher what we're seeing here. And again, my advice to you is stay away. Stay out of the action. However, if you are threatened and or assaulted, I would not sit by and do nothing. Let's put it that way. Okay, so let's do this. And we got, there we go. That. Okay. I'll pull this. Let's just do this. Here we go. All right. So we have Flag Day on the outside and Trump on the inside. There it is. Mars-Mars conjunction. Oh, this guy's going to be a fucking mood. Right there's that Uranus right there in Taurus, squaring his Mars, squaring his ascendant, squaring transiting Mars. There's no patience here. There's no patience. None. You can see the solar return, Sun-Sun conjunction. He's got that Mercury-Mercury conjunction. Of course, what is Mercury doing? Squaring Neptune, squaring Saturn. Jupiter is as well. He's going to have Jupiter coming through. Whoops. There we go. He's got Jupiter coming through his 11th house. So Trump could actually swell in popularity. But he also has to watch out for the Jupiter retrograde that happens later in the year. I believe it happens in August, if I'm not mistaken. And so whatever popular gains he makes, he could easily lose them with that Jupiter retrograde. He's got Saturn. He's going through the Saturn 8th house transit. There it is. That's a heavy, heavy, heavy transit. And it's opposing his natal Neptune. That is not a great transit for Trump. I'm telling you right now. It is not a great transit. He's got a Neptune opposition. Wow. That's intense. You know, Saturn going through his 8th house is like going through the underworld. And there was a metaphorical, psychological death that usually takes place with Saturn going through the 8th house. So for Trump, 30 years ago, Saturn, let's see, 2020, so 1995. Like what was happening with Donald Trump in 1995? Let's do a quick time check. Donald Trump, 1995 to 1996. Let's see what happens here. That would be just the beginning of the transit. Here we go. In 1995, Donald Trump defaulted on over $3 billion in bank loans and faced a restructuring that allowed him to avoid personal bankruptcy. He also claimed a $916 million loss on his 1995 tax. Remember, the 8th house is taxes and other people's money, loans, which he carried forward to reduce or eliminate his taxes in future years. He got off on that. You know who helped him with that? That was the fucking Clintons. That's why he didn't go after them. That is why he did not. They helped him roll that $916 million tax loss out into the future. In 1996, Trump acquired and renovated the 71-story skyscraper at 40 Wall Street, later renaming it the Trump Building. Initially, New York Magazine reported in 2019 that writer E. Jean Carroll alleged that Trump raped her in a department store dressing room in 1995 or 1996. So that's Saturn. That was the last time Saturn was in Trump's 8th house. Let's see what he looked like in 1990. There he is. Look at that. Living the high life. It was Steven Seagal. Can you fucking believe that? And Milton Berle. That must be the Friars Club. That's Milton Berle. Steven Seagal has zero sense of humor, by the way. Let's see. Who the hell is that? That is not Melania. You know, that's Ivana. Right? There's Ivanka. Frank Gifford, Kathy. This gives you a context, right? What was going on? Frank Gifford was still alive. Kathy Lee Gifford was still with him. What else was Trump doing? Isn't that Marla Maples? Here we go. Well, Marla Maples action. That's Marla Maples. That's not Ivana. So Trump is into Maples territory, and that's what's her name? Sorry, my bad. That's Tiffany Marla Donald. He's going through a divorce. Actually, he's got married as a kid, way after divorce. And this is his unveiling of Trump Tower. That's up Marla. There's Tony Bennett. This is 1995. Remember? It's like Frank Gifford again. Marla. I always thought Marla was pretty sexy, actually. So even though Trump is going through all these fucking bankruptcies and tax evasion, not tax evasion, but his tax bill, he's still living the life. Right? He is still freaking living the life. Let's just see one more page here. The Seagal thing cracks me up. Could you imagine Donald Trump and Steven Seagal in the same room together? Oh my God. That would be a hell of a conversation. Probably last about 5 minutes, maybe less. Let's see. Now that's Ivanka right there. There's Ivanka. She doesn't look too happy. I think she's pissed. I think she's pissed that Marla Maples is around. Trump looking very serious. Very, very serious. She looks happier there. She's got the little girl. All right. Okay, enough Trump. I'll get back to Trump. But that's what he was going through. Right? He was going through a major fucking 8th house transit with Saturn, and his entire portfolio was having to be completely and utterly restructured. Let me go back here. Right there. Okay, hold on. There's Trump right there. Okay. There you go. Solar return. Moon Pluto. He's got Pluto in his 6th house. Yep. Pluto in his 6th house. What's it going to do? What degrees is Pluto at? 10. He's going to go through this Pluto opposition. I think Pluto gets to about 4 or 5 degrees next year, and then the year after that, it's around 8, 9. That's health territory. That's health territory for the Donald. I think didn't he fall going up Air Force One yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. This is heart attack country right here. Pluto opposition, Pluto and Leo. Yeah. And that South Node is moving into his 1st house. Yeah, he better bank on his relationships here with that True Node moving into his 7th house in Pisces. Yeah, it's going to be a fairly intense birthday for one Donald John Trump. Look at the right there. Okay, let me see if I can find the chart with. Yeah, it's right here. If you guys didn't see this, this is what I brought up on Thursday night. So the outer wheel is Elon Musk right here. He's on the outer wheel. So this is his natal Mars. He's got Mars in Aquarius. Trump has Mars in Leo. Their Marses have always been in some degree of opposition. 8-degree orb separating the two of them, but still opposite nonetheless. What happened when they broke up? Transiting Mars was in Trump's 12th house right there, in almost complete opposition with Elon's Mars. The beef is real. The beef's real. It's right fucking there. Right? It's right there. So if anybody tells you that's all scripted, I don't think so. I don't think so. And I went over my reasons why I believe that it wasn't scripted beyond just the Mars opposition. And my general thesis is that Elon Musk was always the nerdy guy that never got invited to parties until he went to college and he and his mother started throwing parties and charging people for them, which they did. But he was not anybody, hey, let's invite Elon. He's really fucking cool. Let's invite him. No, he didn't go to those parties. Not a chance in hell. He's got Saturn in the 11th house. Do you think Elon Musk really has friends? If he does, they're not many. There's Saturn right there, right? But Trump in the 11th house, well, he's got somebody else says Venus and he else says Mercury. Trump gets to go to all the fucking parties. And all of a sudden, Elon shows up and Elon's going to all these parties. He's living at Mars. He is like mini Trump. He is finally transcended his geek and nerd status. And he is standing shoulder to shoulder with Donald Trump, showing up at the White House, wearing his dorky Doge cap, right? Like this is his moment. And Elon Musk wants to be a great man. Whatever you think about Elon Musk, he wants to be a great man. Why? Because he's got the sun in the 12th house. And I have tried to demonstrate that people who have the sun in the 12th house are driven by archetypal forces that we don't always understand. And they actually assume the role of archetypes at times. It's like, holy shit, yeah. Keanu Reeves, sun in the 12th house. He's Neo. No. He's John Wick. No. He's Constantine, right? That's your guy. That's your guy. Keanu Reeves, sun in the 12th house. Billy Bob Thornton. Sometimes I have a Dutch blade, and sometimes I got a slim blade, right? Like this guy's named Carl. Like he fucking becomes Carl. Billy Bob Thornton has these archetypal roles. He can be an archetypal asshole too, but he has these Billy Bob Thornton's like an archetype. He's a type, right? So people that have the sun in the 12th house are moved by forces that we don't always understand. And there's a thing about the sun in the 12th house where people want to be great, right? And in some ways they are great. Like if Barbara Boots is in chat, Barbara Boots has a sun in the 12th house. And if you just looked at Barbara Boots and talked to her, you probably wouldn't understand the scope of this woman's life. She has done so much major, I don't want to use the word shit, major things. And you sit there, you did that, you did that, you did that, you did that. What? You know how many languages? Like that is typical of sun in the 12th house. You don't really know these people, right? But they are cooking. They're cooking in the archetypal soup of the 12th house. Elon Musk wants to be a great man. That's what he wants to be. He wants to be a great man. He's got Aries on his midheaven, right? He wants to be heroic. He wants to be the guy. And this Doge thing was, I'm telling you right now, it was going to be his thing. In his mind, he's going to save America. This is what Elon Musk was banking on. He was going to save America. This Doge thing, Donald Trump would be forever grateful, and Elon Musk would go down in the annals of history as being the guy who rooted out all this corruption, right? It's his Mars in the 8th house, which is all technological, and kind of rotor-rootering into that 8th house of fucking corruption, right? And he's the guy that's doing it. But guess what? It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Trump puts this huge ass budget together, massive. Like the stuff that was found in Doge doesn't really get recognized. They're rerouting money to the mill. Like, and so Elon is like, what the fuck? Why did I do all of this? Why did I do all of this if you're going to do this to the thing that I did? Now, I think he has actually a valid claim there. I think he's got a valid claim. But the problem with Elon Musk is that he didn't realize that it all might just go for naught, right? It all might just go for naught. And that he was partially naive, and he was also partially power tripping because he was hanging out with Trump all the time. Like, there's his Venus conjunct his sun. Finally, Mr. 12th House gets invited to parties. And that's all part of it. And then when Trump basically says, Doge, what's Doge? We got this big, beautiful bill, BBB. Looks like 666 when you look at the small b's together, by the way. Big, beautiful bill. Build back better. BBB. And Musk is pissed. He's pissed. He's so pissed that he crosses swords with a guy you probably don't want to cross swords with. And he does. And now Steve Bannon is like clamoring that the government basically take over SpaceX. Like, take it from him. Come on, take it from him. I don't think it's going to happen. But they're in a bit of a pickle because SpaceX does a lot of work for the government, right? The beef is real, and I think Musk was hurt. I think he was embarrassed. I think he was humiliated. I think all those things contribute to his. And again, I'm just sharing with you, right? This Mars opposition, that's transiting Mars. That's his Mars, and he used that Mars to go in and theoretically root out like corruption, which is a Mars 8th house thing. Like, finally, I get to use my Mars instead of artificially inseminating all these women. I can hit the Doge factor here. I get invited to the parties, and here comes this opposition with Mars. It's like, he's pissed. He's pissed, and you can't put the toothpaste back into the tube. Like, that is not going to happen. So I think the beef is real, and I don't know where they go from here. But I tell you what, Musk brought up something very important and interesting. He brought up that Trump was connected to Epstein, and he's part of the Epstein files. Now, whether you believe that to be true or not is in some ways nebulous. It's not nebulous. In some ways, it doesn't matter. Because what it's done now is that finally the fucking left, of course, there's plenty of people on the left that went to the Epstein parties. But finally now they see a chink in Trump's armor. And now the left all of a sudden, yeah, we want it now. We want it. Before they didn't want shit. Right? But now they're like clamoring. Yeah, let's go. Let's see all those files. Let's see. Most of that shit is gone. Okay? It's gone. The only things that remain are in the hands of people that need to use them to continue to hold some degree of power over people that made themselves very vulnerable in those places. They're still around. It's just, I don't think Kash Patel has them. I don't think Pam Bondi has them. I don't think anybody in Washington has the degree of evidence because it's too fucking incriminating. You pull one thing, you pull one little thing in the Jenga tower, and it all falls apart. All of it. And how long have they had this shit? When did they go back and raid all that stuff? years ago, Trump was still president. Remember, they're crawling around, and, the blue and white temple there, on the island. They did the same thing at the condo. They did the same thing at the ranch. They've had that stuff. And anything that is even remotely incriminating, it's gone. Now, somebody somewhere might have, and there are people that name starts with an Allen and last name ends with a Witz, has the insurance policies. But there may have been somebody somewhere in that mix that was able to grab copies of this stuff that nobody knows has it. And I'm not talking about the players that we think may have it, like Allen begins, last name ends with a Witz, right? It wouldn't surprise me if there was some third party somewhere that managed to get their hands on, if not all of it, but the bulk of what they were trying to, at some point, get rid of. And I know that they tried to get rid of it and probably got rid of a lot of it. And it'll be interesting to see if that person or persons come forward. It's just a hit that I have, right? It's kind of like a Snowden kind of character that has some, maybe not all of it, but has some of it, right? And it's enough, I think, to make a major dent. But we'll see. I mean, I don't have any real hopes. That's just my sense. My sense is that and it's not the Mossad, right? It's not one of these third parties or it's not the CIA, right? It's somebody who is independent and managed to get some of this stuff. And they're holding on to it for whatever the time is right or reason is. It's probably not even all of it. It's probably like, if there was, I don't know, let's go with a crazy figure. Let's say there were 1,200 hours of videos from these places. 1,500. Maybe this person might have 20 hours worth of video, right? But in the 20 hours, they're splicing it. Now, here's the other problem with all this. Now we're entering into the AI world. Well, somebody releases a video of some senator blank, right? Senator blank, and Senator blank is in bed with two 12-year-old girls. But now with AI, it's like, well, how do you know that's real? How do you know that's? Isn't it kind of convenient that they have lagged on all of this Epstein stuff to the point where 6 months from now, AI is going to be so good with imagery, so good that you are going to have either a major program like that can detect the slightest sort of liminal glitches or flicker rate or something, or you're going to have to be some kind of a savant, because it's going to get more and more difficult to determine what's real, what's not real. And so then, if they release the Epstein stuff, right, and we may even get stuff that looks like Epstein stuff, and it won't be. Right? It will be like, oh, well, that's AI. And in the early stage, it might be like, yeah, that's AI. It's like, oh, okay, but it's setting the stage for if the real thing is released. It's going to be very interesting. Let's just put it that way. And again, I feel like that there is some forethought around releasing this like Uranus and Gemini. Like, what's going to be real? It could be very, very difficult to find out, determine. And let's say, for instance, the video that could be real, like maybe that video itself has some, I don't know, like blemishes that the technology that was videotaping those people with at that time, right? That would be part and parcel of that technology. Well, AI could factor that in, right? And would almost make it like, oh, well, the flicker rate for this room with this level of light would be here, right? And then it's like completely adjusted everything on that video. But then they just change faces or change name. Like we're headed in that territory. And so I do think that there is some forethought around releasing the stuff at a time where it's going to be more and more difficult to determine what's real. So anyway, that's just a little bit of a rant, a take. But I do think that the beef is real. It's right there. Mars opposition. Fix Mars. Like you're not going to be able to put the toothpaste back in the tube. And Trump can handle it. I'm not sure Musk can. He's a Cancer, right? He's a Cancer. That's what happens. Trump is a wily kind of Gemini. Okay, I think we're just about ready to pull this thing into the dock. I read something tonight on Twitter where Laura Loomer is saying that another event like 9/11, but bigger, is coming. Just wrap your head around that. I'm just putting it out there. And the reason I'm putting it out there is because I want to dispel it. What's interesting is when you look at the two letters of her name, LL, right? LL, they kind of look a little like Twin Towers. They're not like, just I. They're L and then a left, L and a left. And L is the what is it? Is it the 13th letter or is it the 12th letter? I'm sorry. I usually know these. K is 11, so yeah, L is 12. LL 12. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, M is 13, which makes it 4. I know all this stuff. Okay, that's about it. I'm going to save Jupiter in Cancer for next week. I can devote a whole show to that, which I think will be better than just splitting it up and taking the next hour to talk about it. We'll have some meat on the old bone, as they say. Thank you for being here. Don't forget our sponsor, True Hemp Science. Our friend Chris in Austin voted the best CBD in Austin last year. Just wrap your head around that. And, SB3 is still sitting on Greg Abbott's desk. He's signing all these bills about the border, all these bills about defunding criminals, and he's putting them front and center on Twitter. I guarantee you that if he does sign SB3, he will not talk about ending CBD, which he basically will. He'll be talking about how he will make synthetic marijuana, synthetic cannabis easier to access for people in severe pain. That will be the angle he'll take. He's not going to talk about putting 50,000 people out of business, out of work. He's not going to talk about how local economies are going to take a hit across the state. He'll just talk about the wonders of synthetic THC. So anyway, go to truehempscience.com and check out Chris's stuff. He's got some of the best CBD you'll find. Type in 15MINS and you'll be able to get a discount. Not a discount. You'll be able to get like a goodie bag. You spend $100 or more. Nice goodie bag, gummies. I got a text from a buddy in Florida. I got to read this text. He hadn't had the gummies before. I'm going to read it to you. He said, He says, wow, those moonlight gummies are legit. Just started taking them on vacation and a wink. Right? So there you go. There you go. There's a little testimonial for the old moon, the moonlight gummies. Got moonlight, moon dust, bunch of other stuff. $150 gets you free shipping. There's always a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're interested in reading, that information is there. It is on my show page. And if you are interested in going to the Bridge event in October, get that steep discount. Click on the link. Get your ticket now. I'll tell you, David is DJing on Saturday night. David is a fucking really good DJ. Really, really good DJ. And I've been around world-class DJs. I was big into the electronic music scene back in the 90s. I know good DJs. David's a good DJ. So we'll party our asses off on that Saturday night. All right, mods, thank you very much. Appreciate all your help inside chat. Chatoria, you're the best. Special shout out to Liddy Lou and her mom, who is 100 years old. Maybe I should show you guys that picture. It's actually a cool picture. Let me see if I can find it here. Okay. This is a great picture. Hold on. All right. I'll bring it up here. Give me one sec. You don't get to see people who are 100 years old every day. Right? When you get a chance to see somebody who's 100 years old, you want to take advantage of that. All right, so let's see. Okay, there we go. I'll give you a picture right here. Mama Landers right there. Look how good she looks. Look at that. I told her, you don't look a day over 90. She laughed. She thought it was really funny. All right, that's it. Take care of yourselves. Treat each other well. God bless. Love you all. Robert Phoenix signing off for now.